Bob, I mean, we're playing everybody else's records here today. Maybe we can sneak one of ours in. What do you think?
I figured that was coming, so it's up to me to decide which one to play. How about one of the most difficult ones to record? And you know what that was.
Ragdoll.
Right.
How could I not know what that was? We couldn't even get a studio to record it in that day. We were leaving town the next day. We couldn't get an engineer, and it was probably one of the most difficult records ever. And you have a little bit more to that story.
Yeah, but why don't we wait till we play the record?
Good idea.
From New Jersey, otherwise known as the Four Seasons in Ragdoll.
Why don't you tell them that little interesting story, you know, the inspiration.
The inspiration, right. It's New York City on 10th Avenue. It is one of the longest flights in history. It's 3 or 4 minutes. And I was going in to record one day and stopped at this light, and an area that's people would just come up to the car and clean your windows, and they'd get a quarter, 50 cents or something. This one particular day, this little girl came up, tattered clothes and dirt on her face, and I said, my God, I have to leave her something. I went in my pocket, and I didn't have anything less than a $10 bill, and in those days, $10 was a lot of money, and I just couldn't conceive of leaving her with nothing, so I gave her the $10 bill, and she just looked at me, and as I was pulling away, I was looking in the rearview mirror, and her face just was embedded in my brain, and next day, when I got up, Ragdoll was born.
Cheap out. For $10, I would have cleaned your window.
The next song's been one of our favorites, I think, mutually. In fact, we used to do it in the show for a while. Simon and Garfunkel, Sounds of Silence.
The Sounds of Silence, Simon and Garfunkel. Truly a profound performance. One of my all-time favorite songs.
You know, I think maybe we should do another girl group record.
That's all you want to do is girl groups?
Another one of my favorites. He's a Rebel was just a classic record, and Phil Spector was just shining on this one. And I know we had some ships passing in the night with Phil in the studio back and forth, and remember some of those.
Oh, I sure do. There were so many times we were just finishing recording and getting ready and leaving, and he was coming in, or the other way around. I mean, this was a frequent thing that went on in New York City when we were recording at Nearest Sound.
Stealing drum beats, yes.
Right.
Great hobby. Here they are, the Crystals. He's a Rebel.
One of Bob's favorite girl groups, the Crystals.
I think this one is going to bring back some fond memories. Talking about the Beatles, Please Please Me. We were touring...
You mean the one they stole from us, huh?
Well, not quite. No, the one we'd like to have stolen from them. We were touring England, and Please Please Me was number one. And I remember hearing this, and I brought it to Frankie, and I said, gee, this would be a great record for us to cover. And somewhere along the line, we decided against it, to my regret, but we fortunately had Walk Like a Man when we went back to record, so it wasn't too great a loss. But
no, that wasn't too shabby.
But our record company did pick up on it. I remember VJ bought the master on Please Please Me, because when we came back, we were so excited about it, and it was nice to be there in the beginning.
Do you remember when we did the English tour in 62 or 3 it was? And it was with Robert Stigwood. He was the promoter.
That's right.
And it was one of the dates, I think the Beatles were in the audience. We never really did get an opportunity to meet them at that time, but they were in the audience and come to see the show.
The legendary Beatles.
Yes.
Please Please Me. John, Paul, Ringo, and George. Great, great record. Please Please Me.
You know, Bob, when it comes to soul music, there's one guy that really sticks out in my mind. I mean, as being one of the most inspirational that I can think of in the music business. And Atlantic Records really did a sensational job with him. I'm talking about Percy Sledge.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I mean, when he sings "When a Man Loves a Woman," I mean, you believe every single word. I mean, you just relate to it so terrifically. Maybe we should play that record, huh?
When a Man Loves a Woman, Percy Sledge.
That man does. Percy Sledge.
Why don't we take a little trip to New York City? This song kind of personified New York City in the summertime. And being originally from the Bronx, I can almost smell the city when I hear this record, for better or for worse. The Lovin' Spoonful, Summer in the City. Summer in the City.
You know, it's really funny, Bob. Did you ever think about it? I mean, most groups, think about us even. You work a lifetime to achieve this grand success. And here's a group that threw it away after about 4 records. They decided to not make records anymore. What a terrible loss.
Yeah, that is a shame because John Sebastian was such a terrific writer. And he went on to some success on his own, but I would love to have known what possibly could have happened had they stayed together.
I don't even think that they had touched on the success that was ahead for them.
Probably not. You know, there's another group, too, the Rascals, and being from the Jersey boys, did some classic records.
You mean our neighbors?
That's right. And here's one of my absolute all-time favorite classic records, Groovin'.
On a Sunday afternoon?
Right.
Bugatti and Felix Cavalier, Groovin', the Rascals.
You know, the Motown machine must have been on double overtime. I marveled at the creativity after hit songs like Where Did Our Love Go and Come See About Me, Baby Love. And they put the icing on the cake with this one, Stop in the Name of Love, the Supremes. The fabulous Supremes, Stop in the Name of Love. Speaking of groups, I know one of your all-time favorites was the Drifters.
They certainly were. Think about the fact that the Drifters have probably, as a vocal group, have been on the scene longer than anybody.
And success with a number of different lead singers.
Right.
I think originally Clyde McPhatter,
Benny King,
all-time great lead singers, and Benny King.
The Drifters, I think, were probably the first black vocal group that really had a major impact on a white audience.
Yeah, and probably the first rock record with strings. And
absolutely.
There Goes My Baby.
They had a team of writers that was second to none. I mean, the songs that they were doing.
If you had to pick one favorite Drifters record, what would it be?
Well, darling, save the last dance for me.
The Drifters.
That was one of my favorite groups, the Drifters. Save the Last Dance for Me.
You know, Frank, there's something that probably should not go unmentioned. And that's...
Is that something I said, Bob?
No, it's that I've gotten a lot of credit for writing most of the songs that we've done, but there has been occasions in our career where it's been a blessing for us, after all the traveling on the road, to come back off a long period of touring, and somebody sitting there with a great song.
You mean you didn't write all the songs we had hits with?
No, I missed a couple, I'm afraid. And this is one of them, and it was a pleasant experience to know that there was a song sitting there when we got off the road to go in and record, and fortunately it turned out to be one of our biggest records. You think you might remember which one it is?
Let's Hang On?
That's a good
guess. Is that it?
Very good
I
guess.
thought he wrote that song all a while ago.
Here we go again. Four Seasons.
There ain't no good in our goodbye. You mean you didn't write that song?
You know I didn't write that song. That's, in fact, the writers are Bob Cruz, Sandy Linzer, and Denny Randall, and thank God. Thank God for that one.
Well, Bob, even though you didn't write Let's Hang On, I'm sure glad we recorded it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd say it was a no-lose proposition.
Yeah, I would too. Hey, we ought to do this again.
This would be fun. In fact, this would be a good way for you to get off the road. If the BBC would give us a weekly show, we would come here and have a great time.
My house or yours?
Let's do it.